Imagine a young boy, soaked to the bone, standing in the pouring rain. He's clutching a small stack of unsold newspapers, his last hope for a meal. His stomach is empty, a gnawing ache that's all too familiar. Through the rain-streaked window of a luxury toy store, he watches children his own age, dressed in warm coats, their faces lit up with joy as they pick out new toys. They have everything. He has nothing. This isn't a scene from some sad movie. This is the real, raw, and heartbreaking story of Ayan, a man who built an empire from the ashes of his childhood. This is the story of how a boy with nothing but a dream, and the haunting words of his father, transformed his immense struggle into a legacy that would inspire millions. Every night, as Ayan tried to find sleep on a thin, worn-out mat on the cold floor of his makeshift shack, his father's last words would echo in his mind. "Ayan, my son," he'd whispered, his voice weak but firm, "knowledge is the only wealth they can never steal from you." These weren't just words. They were a lifeline. They were the emotional trigger that jolted him awake, fueling a fire within him that even the harshest poverty couldn't extinguish. These memories were both a comfort and a torment, a constant reminder of what he had lost and what he had to achieve. Even in the deepest, darkest nights of his life, when hope seemed like a cruel joke, a tiny glimmer appeared. One day, rummaging through a trash bin for scraps of food, his fingers brushed against something solid. It wasn't food. It was a book, a discarded science textbook, its pages damp and torn. But to Ayan, it was treasure. It was a key. That night, and every night after, you could find him huddled under the weak, flickering glow of a city street. He'd be tracing the words with a dirty finger, his brow furrowed in concentration, deciphering formulas and theories that were a world away from his reality. The sight of this small boy, alone, studying with such fierce determination while the world slept, was a picture of pure, unyielding resolve. It's a scene so heart-touching, it would make anyone pause and reflect on their own blessings. His life was a tightrope walk over a canyon of uncertainty. It was a constant nail-biting suspense. Would he eat tomorrow? Would the landlord kick him out of the tiny shack he called home? Every day was a battle for survival, a gamble against fate. Hunger was his constant companion, and the cruelty of others was a daily lesson in human nature. He was invisible to most, a nuisance to some. He was mocked for his tattered clothes, for his ambition that seemed laughable to those who had everything. He begged for work, for a chance only to be met with slammed doors and scornful laughter. "A street rat like you wants to learn," they'd sneer. "Go back to the gutter where you belong." The emotional weight of this constant rejection was immense, enough to crush a person's spirit completely. But not Ayan. Each insult, each act of cruelty, was just more fuel for his fire. Success, when you're starting from absolute zero, doesn't arrive like a sudden burst of lightning. It's a slow, grueling climb up a mountain of failures. It's years of sacrifice, of sleepless nights, and empty stomachs. It's pushing forward when every muscle, every fiber of your being, is screaming at you to just give up. For Ayan, there were countless moments of despair. Times he almost believed his critics. Times he almost surrendered to the crushing weight of his circumstances. But then, he would remember the street lamp. He would remember his father's voice. And he would get back up, dust himself off, and take one more step, and then another, and another. Then, one day, the tide began to turn. A small scholarship, won through sheer brilliance and sleepless nights. A mentor who saw the fire in his eyes. A breakthrough in his research that no one saw coming. Slowly, painstakingly, Ayan built his success. And when it finally arrived, it wasn't a gentle wave. It was a monumental tsunami. He founded a tech company based on the very principles he had taught himself under that street lamp. His innovations changed industries. His name, once whispered with contempt, was now spoken with awe and reverence. And this is where the story gets truly powerful. This is the ultimate karma, but not the kind you see in movies, filled with violent revenge. This was a revenge of success. The same people who had once treated him with such cruelty, who had called him a street rat and slammed their doors in his face, now stood in a long line outside his gleaming office building. The wealthy merchants, the arrogant classmates, the landlord who had threatened him, they were all there, not to mock him, but to seek his help. They needed jobs. They needed investments. They needed the help of the boy they had once tried to break. Seeing them there, their faces a mixture of desperation and shame, was a moment of profound vindication. Seeing those who once mocked him now bowing their heads, forced to acknowledge their own colossal mistake, was a powerful, almost poetic, climax to his struggle. But Ayan's reaction is what defines his true character. He didn't turn them away. He didn't gloat or remind them of their past cruelty. He looked at them, and in their eyes, he saw not his enemies, but a reflection of the desperation he once knew so well. And so, he showed them the kindness they had never, ever shown him. He offered them opportunities. He gave them a second chance. Because Ayan understood something profound. True strength isn't about crushing your enemies. It's about having the power to do so, but choosing to lift them up instead. Ayan's story is a testament to the indestructible power of the human spirit. It's a reminder that our circumstances do not define our destiny. The boy who once clutched unsold newspapers in the rain now held the future in his hands. the boy who studied by the dim light of a street lamp now illuminated the world with his brilliance. His legacy wasn't just the company he built or the wealth he accumulated. His true legacy was in proving that knowledge, resilience, and kindness are the most powerful forces on earth. He turned his pain into purpose, his scars into stars, and he showed the world that the greatest success is not just rising above your struggles, but also reaching back to help others find their way out of the dark. As he stepped onto the grand stage, an expectant hush fell over the room. Thousands of eyes were fixed on him, anticipating a presentation filled with complex data and technical jargon. But Ayan didn't begin with charts or graphs. Instead, he spoke from the heart, his voice steady yet filled with a raw emotion that captivated everyone. He shared the struggles of impoverished farmers, painting a vivid picture of their daily hardships, their hopes, and their despair. His words weren't just a speech. They were a window into a world many in that hall had never seen. The atmosphere shifted from professional curiosity to profound empathy. Then, a heart-stopping moment. A large screen behind him lit up, not with a product prototype, but with a close-up photograph. It was a picture of a woman's hands, weathered and worn, with calloused skin and wrinkled fingers. "These," Ayan said, his voice trembling slightly, "are my mother's hands." He explained how those hands had toiled in other people's kitchens, scrubbing floors and washing dishes, just to keep him alive, to give him a single meal a day. The image of those hands, a testament to a mother's sacrifice, brought tears to many eyes. It was a powerful, heart-touching symbol of his origins. He went on to declare that his groundbreaking invention wasn't designed for profit or corporate acclaim. It was created with a singular, noble purpose: to ensure that no other child would have their innocence stolen by the cruel grip of poverty. His journey, from a boy who slept on the streets to a globally recognized innovator, became a brilliant ray of hope for millions. In that moment, Ayan was no longer just a name, he became an emotion, a living embodiment of the dreams of those who dare to aspire for more, even when they start with nothing. His story is a powerful reminder that while the circumstances of your birth might feel like a tragedy, your life can be transformed into a masterpiece if you have the courage to fight through the storms. Life will test you, it will throw challenges your way, but it's the resilience, the unyielding spirit, that forges greatness. Ayan's life proves that our beginnings do not define our endings. It is the journey, the struggle, and the refusal to surrender that writes the most beautiful chapters of our story. He showed the world that true success isn't measured by wealth, but by the impact you have and the hope you inspire. With global fame came not arrogance, but a profound sense of responsibility. Ayan knew his journey couldn't end with his own success. He had to pay it forward. He launched a foundation, naming it the Ray of Light. This wasn't just another charity organization designed for tax benefits or public relations. It was a mission, a deeply personal quest to find the next Ayan, the next brilliant mind hidden in the shadows of the streets, waiting for just one opportunity to shine. He envisioned a world where talent, not circumstance, determined a child's future. He began building innovative schools in underprivileged areas. These weren't ordinary classrooms. They were vibrant learning hubs that seamlessly integrated cutting-edge technology with core human values like compassion, integrity, and resilience. He wanted to nurture not just intellectuals, but good human beings. Looking at the bright, eager faces of the children in his schools, Ayan felt an overwhelming emotion, a connection that transcended words. It was a deeply heart-touching experience to see the very same sparkle in their eyes that he once had, reading borrowed books under the dim glow of street lamps. He saw himself in each of them. Their curiosity, their laughter, and their boundless dreams were a reflection of his own past. He wasn't just their benefactor. He was their role model, their proof that a different life was possible. He would often sit with them, not as a famous innovator, but as a friend, sharing stories and listening to their dreams. He knew that nurturing their spirit was just as important as feeding their minds. These children were not just students, they were the living legacy of his mother's sacrifice, the continuation of his own improbable journey. He was building an army of dreamers, armed with knowledge and kindness. In the end, honesty and integrity triumphed. The world witnessed a powerful and undeniable realization. Money can certainly buy power and influence, but it can never purchase a true, lasting legacy. A legacy is built on character, on the lives you touch, and the positive change you bring to the world. The individuals who had conspired against him, driven by greed and jealousy, faced their own karma. Their corruption and deceit were exposed to the public, their empires of lies crumbling under the weight of truth. They lost everything they had schemed so hard to protect. Ayan stood tall, but his victory wasn't rooted in the defeat of his enemies. He stood tall because he had never allowed his heartbreaking past to poison his soul or turn him into a bitter person. Faced with betrayal and adversity, he chose a different path. He chose kindness over revenge, forgiveness over resentment. He understood that holding on to anger would only harm himself. His true strength was in his compassion, his ability to rise above the negativity and continue his mission with an open heart. His story became a testament to the fact that true power lies not in crushing your opponents, but in building a better world, one act of kindness at a time. As he sat by his mother's bedside, the silence of the hospital room was filled with deep, unspoken emotion. He gently held her wrinkled hands, the same hands that had endured society's cruel behavior just to put a single meal on his plate. In that raw, vulnerable moment, his innocence seemed to return. He wasn't the powerful CEO the world knew. He was just a son, a young boy again, praying for a miracle. This heart-touching scene reminds us that no matter how high we fly in life, our roots, our beginnings, always pull at our hearts. The suspense that had defined Ayan's journey, the constant struggle and uncertainty, finally began to settle into a peaceful melody of service. His story became a beacon of light, a true ray of hope for every dreamer who feels defeated by their circumstances. He proved that greatness isn't measured by the balance in a bank account, but by the number of lives one has touched. As the sun sets over the sprawling campus of the university he founded, Ayan often sits on a simple wooden bench, lost in a flashback of his barefoot days. To the world, he is a titan of industry, a visionary leader, but deep down, he still carries the innocence of that hungry boy who dared to believe in miracles. His life has become a living bridge between despair and destiny. Every time he sees an underprivileged student receive a scholarship, a degree in their hand, he feels a heart-touching connection that no multi-million-dollar business deal could ever provide. His journey remains a source of constant suspense for those who wonder, how much more can a single soul possibly give to the world? His story is a powerful testament to the fact that our emotions are not weaknesses. They are the very fuel that drives a human being to achieve the impossible. Ayan's life began with a cry of pain, but it found its purpose in a smile of fulfillment. He transformed his personal emotion, his memory of hardship, into a global movement of kindness and opportunity. Today, as millions read about his life, they don't just see another success story. They see a roadmap for their own souls, a guide to navigating their own struggles. The boy from the streets proved that while you cannot control the winds of fate, you can always adjust your sails. Imagine a young boy, his face smudged with dirt, his stomach aching with hunger, looking up at the sky with eyes full of dreams. That boy was Ayan. His early life was a canvas painted with shades of poverty and struggle. He knew what it was like to be invisible, to be just another face in a crowd of the forgotten. He watched his mother work tirelessly, her hands calloused, her spirit weary but never broken. It was in her quiet strength that he found his first lesson in resilience. She taught him that even in the darkest of nights, a single star can light up the entire sky. These memories weren't scars for Ayan, they were his armor. They fueled a fire within him, a burning desire not just to escape his circumstances, but to change them for others. The suspense of his early years, wondering where the next meal would come from, transformed into a different kind of suspense, the thrill of the chase, the pursuit of knowledge, the climb up the ladder of success. He worked odd jobs, studied under streetlights, and absorbed every piece of information he could. Every rejection was a lesson, every failure a stepping stone. He wasn't just building a career, he was building a weapon against the poverty that had tried to define him. The emotion of his past, the feeling of helplessness, became his greatest motivator. He promised himself that one day, no child would have to feel the way he did, and he kept that promise. His rise to becoming a CEO was meteoric, but it was never the final destination. It was simply the means to an end. The climax of his story wasn't signing a major deal. It was signing the charter for his first free school. The suspense wasn't in a boardroom negotiation. It was in watching the first batch of students graduate, their faces beaming with hope. This is the core of Ayan's legacy. He understood that true wealth isn't hoarded. It's circulated. He poured his fortune into building schools, hospitals, and foundations. He created scholarships for students who, like him, had nothing but a dream. His mother, who had fought so hard for his survival, lived to see her son become a savior for thousands. Her hands, once rough from labor, were now held by a man who used his own hands to lift up an entire generation. Ayan's story resonates so deeply because it touches on a universal human truth. Our past does not have to be our prison. It can be our platform. The emotions we feel, the pain, the love, the anger, the hope are not obstacles. They are the most powerful energy source we possess. Ayan channeled the pain of his hunger into feeding thousands. He channeled the love for his mother into creating a better world for countless other children. He showed us that success is not about forgetting where you came from, but about honoring it. That simple wooden bench on his university campus is more important to him than any throne in a corporate empire. It's his anchor, his reminder of the barefoot boy who looked at the stars and dared to reach for them. It's where he feels closest to his mother, to his roots, and to the purpose that drives him every single day. His life is a continuous narrative of giving. The suspense is no longer about his personal success, but about the expanding ripple effect of his actions. How many more lives can be changed? How many more dreams can be realized? His journey is an ongoing inspiration, a story that doesn't just end with happily ever after. It continues in the lives of every student who walks the halls of his schools, every patient treated in his hospitals, and every person inspired by his example. Ayan's life began with the raw emotion of a child's cry and is now defined by the profound fulfillment of a life well lived. He proved that you don't need a privileged start to leave a powerful legacy. All you need is a heart full of empathy, a mind full of determination, and the courage to turn your personal story into a universal song of hope. The boy from the streets who became a legend taught us the ultimate lesson. You can adjust your sails, navigate any storm, and reach a shore you once only dreamed of. In his final years, Ayan became a symbol of resilience. He didn't just build buildings, he built dreams. His life was no longer a mystery or a suspense, but an open lesson for humanity. Every time he spoke to young dreamers, he reminded them of his heartbreaking past, not to gain sympathy, but to ignite a ray of hope in their hearts. He often said, "My innocence was stolen by poverty, but my purpose was given by it." This heart-touching philosophy turned a simple man into a global legend. His legacy didn't end with his breath. It lived on in every child who picked up a book instead of a tool. Ayan's life journey is the ultimate proof that no matter how cruel the world is to you, your response is what truly defines your destiny. His story started with a single teardrop and ended as a constellation of stars, a guiding light for future generations. He was the living embodiment of the truth that a struggle faced with integrity always leads to a masterpiece of life. The world finally understood that Ayan's success wasn't built on currency, but on character. The cruelty he once faced from society became the very foundation of his empathy. In his final public appearance, he didn't talk about his billions. Instead, he shared a flashback of the first coin he ever earned by cleaning a gutter. He wept, and the world wept with him. It was a moment of pure realization for everyone watching that greatness is not about never falling, but about rising every single time you are pushed down. Ayan's life teaches us that a heartbreaking beginning can still lead to a legendary ending. His journey from a nameless orphan to a global icon is not just a story. It's an emotion that will pulse through the veins of every dreamer for centuries. He proved that even when the world is at its darkest, your hard work can create a sun of your own. You see, Ayan's early life was a canvas painted with shades of despair. Born into a world that offered him no welcome, he was an orphan left to fend for himself on the harsh streets. His childhood was not filled with the laughter and games we take for granted. Instead, it was a relentless battle for survival. Each day was a challenge, a fight for a piece of bread, a warm corner to sleep. The world was a cold, unforgiving place. He was just a boy, yet he carried the weight of an adult's worries on his small shoulders. He saw other children with their parents, with toys, with futures, and all he had were his own two hands, often dirty from the menial jobs he had to do. But deep within this boy, a fire was kindling. It was a fire of determination, a refusal to be extinguished by the winds of adversity. While others might have succumbed to bitterness or despair, Ayan chose a different path. He chose to learn. Every coin he earned, he saved not just for food, but for books. The dim glow of a street lamp was his study hall. He would read voraciously, absorbing knowledge like a parched desert absorbs the first rain. He learned about architecture, about engineering, about how structures rise from nothing to touch the sky. And in those pages, he saw a reflection of his own life, the possibility of building something magnificent from a foundation of rubble. His first real job was as a laborer on a construction site. It was back-breaking work. He carried bricks, mixed cement, and did everything he was told. Many saw him as just another faceless worker, but Ayan saw it differently. He wasn't just carrying bricks. He was learning how they fit together. He wasn't just mixing cement. He was understanding its strength. He watched the engineers, listened to their discussions, and asked questions whenever he could. His curiosity was insatiable. He was a student on a live campus, and the world was his classroom. Slowly, his knowledge and dedication began to shine through. A foreman noticed his sharp eye for detail. An engineer was impressed by his insightful questions. He was given more responsibilities, not because of any favor, but because he earned them. He moved from laborer to supervisor, from supervisor to a junior architect's assistant. Each step was a testament to his relentless hard work. He never forgot where he came from. The memory of the cold streets fueled his ambition, not for wealth, but for the power to change things, to ensure no other child had to endure what he did. The turning point came when he designed his first small project, a community center in a slum, much like the one he grew up in. He poured his heart and soul into it. He didn't just design a building, he designed a space of hope, a place where children could study, where people could gather, a sanctuary from the harshness of the outside world. The project was a massive success, not just architecturally, but emotionally. It touched the lives of the people it served. It was then that Ayan realized his true calling. He wasn't meant to just build structures of concrete and steel. He was meant to build foundations of hope and opportunity. This was the birth of his empire. He started his own construction company, but with a philosophy that was radically different. His company wasn't just about profits, it was about purpose. For every skyscraper he built, he also built a school in an underserved community. For every luxury apartment complex, he established a shelter for the homeless. He revolutionized the corporate world by proving that compassion and commerce could not only coexist, but could thrive together. His business model was simple: build a better world, and success will follow. And it did. Ayan became one of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet. His name was synonymous with innovation, quality, and integrity. But he never let the success get to his head. He remained the same humble man who remembered the taste of hunger. He would often visit the construction sites himself, not as a boss, but as a fellow builder. He would talk to the workers, share a meal with them, and listen to their stories. He saw himself in each of them. He understood their struggles because he had lived them. This empathy was his greatest strength. The world that once treated him with cruelty now looked up to him with awe and admiration. He became a beacon of hope for millions. His speeches were not filled with business jargon or empty platitudes. They were raw, honest, and deeply personal. He would openly speak about his past, about the pain and the loneliness. He wasn't seeking pity. He was sharing his scars to show others that wounds can heal, and that scars can be a symbol of strength. He wanted every person struggling in the dark to know that they too could create their own sun. He established foundations that provided education, healthcare, and vocational training to underprivileged children across the globe. He believed that talent is universal, but opportunity is not. His mission was to bridge that gap. He wanted to give every child the one thing he never had: a fair chance. He didn't just write checks, he was personally involved. He would sit with the children, read to them, and tell them his story. He would look into their eyes and say, "I was once where you are. Look at me now." Your beginning does not determine your end. Your spirit does. In his final years, Ayan wasn't just a businessman. He was a global statesman of humanity. Leaders and thinkers from all over the world sought his counsel. They didn't come to him for financial advice. They came to learn from his wisdom, his resilience, his unwavering belief in the goodness of people. He taught them that true power lies not in what you have, but in what you give. He showed them that a legacy is not measured in dollars, but in the lives you touch. The day of his last public address is etched in the memory of the world. The auditorium was filled with the most powerful and influential people. But Ayan spoke to the forgotten, the overlooked, the dreamer, struggling in a corner. He didn't recount his achievements. Instead, he painted a vivid picture of a small, scared boy cleaning a filthy gutter for a single coin. Tears streamed down his face as he remembered the shame and the desperation of that moment. But then, a smile broke through his tears. He held up his hands, no longer small and grimy, but hands that had built an empire of hope. The entire world watched, captivated. In that moment of shared vulnerability, everyone understood. They understood that Ayan's incredible journey was not about a rags to riches story. It was a testament to the indomitable power of the human spirit. It was about rising from the ashes, not with vengeance, but with compassion. It was about transforming personal pain into a universal purpose. Ayan's life was his final, most beautiful masterpiece. A story that began with a teardrop of a lonely orphan and concluded as a galaxy of guiding stars for all of humanity. He proved, beyond any doubt, that your response to the world's cruelty defines your destiny, and that a life of struggle, when met with unwavering integrity, can become a legend that echoes for eternity. As the years went by, something remarkable happened. Ayan's name, far from fading into the past, grew brighter and more resonant. His life didn't just end. It transformed into a powerful symbol, a timeless story of a struggle that completely redefined what it means to reach our full human potential. Think about it. Today, every young person who faces cruelty, every individual who feels trapped by a broken system, they don't just see a sad story in Ayan, they see a roadmap. Ayan's journey became their guide to victory. Remember that feeling we all had, that suspense of what happens next. In his life, well, that suspense has now turned into a powerful certainty. It's the certainty that putting in the hard work, holding on to your integrity, it always pays off in the end. And perhaps the most beautiful part of his legacy is his innocence. He held on to it, pure and unblemished, until his very last breath. It is a deeply emotional reminder for all of us that true success doesn't have to cost you your soul. You don't have to compromise who you are to get to where you want to be. It was the ultimate, most poetic form of karma. The boy who had no place to call his own, who wandered without a home, ended up creating a world that felt like home to everyone. A world built on compassion, on hope, on the belief that we can be better. The echoes of his persistence, his sheer refusal to give up, will ring through the corridors of time forever. His story isn't just a story anymore. It's a direct message to the world, to you and to me. It says, do not let your current circumstances limit your future imagination. No matter how difficult things are right now, no matter how much it hurts. That doesn't define what's possible for you tomorrow. Ayan's life is the ultimate proof that even the most heartbreaking, the most emotional setbacks can be turned into the greatest comebacks. He didn't just live a life. He meticulously crafted a legacy that proves, beyond any doubt, that even in a world that seems filled with darkness, the light of just one person, one determined soul, can be enough to change the entire course of history. As the years have turned into decades, Ayan's legacy has done something incredible. It's broken free from the constraints of time and geography. His story is no longer just a biography you'd find on a shelf. It's become a global emotion, a shared feeling that connects people from all walks of life. To the world's elite, the powerful, and the influential, he is a master of strategy, a genius to be studied. But to the common person, to the everyday dreamer, he is something far more profound. He is the hero of their own struggle. Every single time a dreamer feels defeated, beaten down by the cruel behavior of society or the coldness of the world, they find comfort and strength in Ayan's words. In his example, that innocence we talked about, the one he never, ever traded for power or greed, that has become the new gold standard for what real leadership should look like. The suspense that once defined his incredible climb to the top has now settled into a legendary, peaceful calm. It's the peace that comes from knowing that a heart-touching journey, one built on a foundation of integrity, is the only journey truly worth traveling. His life taught us a lesson of immense power. While the beginning of your story might be a tragedy, the ending is entirely in your hands. You hold the pen. You decide what comes next. Ayan didn't just change his own destiny. He rewrote the very definition of success for all of us. He showed us that the most painful, emotional losses can, in fact, lead to the most magnificent, awe-inspiring wins. But only if you do one thing: never stop walking, never stop moving forward. His story has become a beacon, a guiding light for every soul who feels lost in the dark. It's a constant, gentle reminder that the dawn, the break of a new day, is always closer than it seems. The boy who was once forgotten by the world, ignored and cast aside, is now the very heart of the world itself. His spirit lives on, not just as a memory, but as an active, inspiring force in our lives. When you look at his journey, you realize it's not about grand gestures, but small, consistent acts of courage. It's about facing another day when you feel like you can't. It's about choosing kindness when the world shows you cruelty. It's about believing in your own light when everything around you is dark. Ayan's life is a testament to the idea that our greatest power lies not in what happens to us, but in how we respond. He took a life of pain and transformed it into a legacy of purpose. He took rejection and turned it into a global embrace. So the next time you feel that the odds are stacked against you, the next time you feel like your voice is too small to make a difference, remember the boy with no home who built a home for the world. Remember that your current situation is not your final destination. The story isn't over yet. Like Ayan, you have the power to turn your greatest struggles into your greatest strengths, to turn your emotional setbacks into your most glorious comebacks. His legacy isn't just his story, it's an invitation to write your own, an invitation to believe that your light, too, can change the course of history. Your support helps us share these important messages with the world. Take care, and never stop believing in your own journey. The world watched, holding its breath, as the final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. This wasn't just another tale of a billionaire's rise and fall. No. This was something far deeper, a story that would echo through generations. This was the ultimate karma of kindness. For years, the world saw Ayan as a ruthless tycoon, a man who built an empire on the ruins of his rivals. But the truth, when it was finally revealed, was so staggering, so utterly selfless, that it brought the entire world to a standstill. Ayan hadn't used his immense power and wealth to crush his enemies. He had used it to save their children, their grandchildren, their entire future. We all heard the stories of his rivals, families who lost everything, falling into ruin and despair. What we didn't see was the silent hand that lifted them back up. Anonymous scholarships, secret medical funds, business grants that appeared out of nowhere. All of it came from Ayan. He was the ghost in their machine, the unseen force guiding them back from the brink. Then came the final flashback, a glimpse into his past that explained everything. We saw him not as the billionaire in a skyscraper, but as a young boy on the streets, with nothing but a fierce will to survive and a heart full of empathy. He remembered the sting of hunger, the cold nights, the feeling of being utterly alone, and he vowed that no one, not even the children of those who wronged him, should ever feel that pain. He never forgot that boy. In fact, that boy was the one running the entire empire. Every backstabbing betrayal he endured, every heartbreaking struggle he faced, he didn't convert it into revenge. He converted it into a silent gift for the very people who didn't deserve it. It was a masterpiece of human emotion, a symphony of forgiveness played out on the grandest scale. He let the world believe he was a villain, all while secretly being their savior. People finally understood. Ayan the man was gone, but his spirit hadn't died. It had transformed. It became an eternal ray of hope, a powerful reminder that the greatest victory isn't in defeating your enemies, but in saving them from themselves. His legacy wasn't built of steel and glass, but of second chances and quiet compassion. He showed us all that true power lies not in what you can take, but in what you can give. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing for more.